Today we are putting in a... What do you reckon, Wes? Is this going to work? This, funnily enough, isn't the first time I've had a shower on this channel. We're at 8 minutes. This isn't just good enough for flats. This could literally change how hot water is stored in every home in the UK. This could be absolutely monumental. Hot water storage is one of the biggest barriers to heat pump installations in the UK. Once this and affordability have been solved, watch this space for more information on that, heat pumps are suitable for the vast majority of the UK market. And typically, current early adopters of heat pump purchases are more likely to have room for a hot water cylinder, but this problem is about to hit us in a big way as we start installing in the 80% of the market that don't have space for a hot water cylinder. Where do we put the hot water tank? Well, stick around because we've got a solution that may just revolutionise how hot water is stored in these types of homes. The Heat Pump Combi Mini Storage thing, subject to name change. The combination boiler had an incredible impact when it came to the UK. It simultaneously saved a ton of room in millions of homes and gave us all the hot water we needed in a fraction of the space, as it didn't need a hot water cylinder. But it also had another couple of quite devastating impacts on the renewable transition that we're now paying for. First of all, it hugely reduced the skill sets required to install heating systems, which has led to the degradation in the workforce we require to install heat pumps. And secondly, they got rid of all our precious hot water storage space in homes. As you know, we are renewing the heating industry with our digital training to fix the first problem. And in this video, I'll teach you what this solution is, how we developed it, how to optimize it, and just what this baby can do. Now, I've always been confused when I hear people say that we need 30 to 50 litres of hot water store per person, which is the general rule we all follow. And I've definitely been guilty of using it too through laziness. In reality though, you'll need much less store volume if you heat the water up to a hotter store temperature or more often, and if you can recharge the cylinder more rapidly, you require even less volume. So, to simultaneously prove that point and hopefully help with the looming hot water storage issue, I decided to run a little experiment. Hi guys, I'm back at my house with Wesley from West Hampstead Plumbing and Heating. Wesley's a very, very good engineer I've known from the socials for quite a few years. Today we are putting in a heat pump combi cylinder. I'll show you what that means in the studio. But essentially this fits under a kitchen, not this person, sorry, this fits under a kitchen countertop. So this is basically the solution for flats or anywhere that hasn't got an airing cupboard. So here we are. We've installed our new experimental combi heat pump thing. What do you reckon, Wes? Is this going to work?
I was going to say, but I think it's worth a try. I mean, there's a lot going on that one, so it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. Just the size, just even as a normal cylinder, that size would be really useful for a lot of properties, because that is a big problem. Trying to get cylinders in places that don't have cylinders.
That's it, let's see how it goes. So I've set the store temperature to 55 degrees Celsius. I've got the hot water from my shower about 40 degrees, which is normal. 38, 40 is normal. It's a big rain head shower. It's a larger than normal shower head, so quite a high flow rate. I just want to see how long it runs for, essentially. Average shower is 8 minutes. Let's see if it achieves that. If it achieves 8 minutes, it's fine for flats. It should reheat pretty quickly after that. I'll run that. I've got a little timer here. We'll see how long the timer goes for until the hot water runs out. And then we'll see how long it takes to reheat. I've got open energy monitor over here where I'm watching. So let's give it a go. There we go. Okay. All right, it's starting to come through. I've got it on hot. You can't shower in that. It's warmed up. Right, so now it's down at 40. It gets way above showering temperature, like that's scalding hot, you can see the steam, so easily good enough for washing up, too hot for washing up. It's only 55 degree flow temperature from the heat pump, so other compact solutions need to be a lot higher than 55 degrees flow temperature from the heat pump, which means the heat pump is not that efficient when it's coupled with them. We're now running the shower at about 40 degrees, and you can see the timer there, we've got to our first minute. So I've set the hysteresis on the heat pump controller, so when the store drops 3 degrees below the flow temperature, it activates the heat pump and starts reheating it, so it works like a combi. It notices the drop in store temperature and starts reheating while you're showering, and that's why this little store should pack, hopefully quite punch, depends which heat pump you've matched it with. So you should see the heat pump come on here soon, fingers crossed. If the heating was on, that would have helped because it would have been pre-warmed a little bit. But... Right, we're 2.5 minutes in. You could shower within 3 or 4 minutes really, get everything clean, but you need to, but people like to doss in the shower because it's pleasant obviously. So yeah, we're at 2 minutes 57, 3 minutes, shower's held still, heat pump hasn't come on yet. It's getting very steamy in this room now. Heat pump's come on. You can see the little blip in the corner there. 4 minutes. I probably would have got out of the shower by now. Right, store is at, looks like the flow temperature of the store is 43, the return is 41. The store's about 41 degrees on the bottom of the cylinder, top's obviously hotter. So as soon as that cold comes in, it's hitting 41 degrees. And this is the 30th of January, if anyone wants to look at it, at 7:15-ish. Also worth noting, so this is being assisted by the heat pump, and outside temperature at the moment is 7 degrees. So when it's hotter, you'll get more help from the heat pump. It will do even more showering. When it's colder, you'll struggle to put as much energy in, but 7 degrees below average temperature anyway, so it still gives a good idea. Oh, current SCOP that it's assisting at is 3.5. So it's helping the hot water. It's combiing the heat, heating the, I could say in combi assisting the hot water at 3.5 SCOP, which I'm pretty pleased with. Base of the store is now at 40.7. Top is at 44.2. So that's probably adequate to maintain our 40 degree shower temperature. We're at 6 minutes 30 now. So you can see here, we've now got 4.5 kilowatts going in to assist the heat pump. The return is 40 degrees. The top of the heat pump is at 44 degrees. It looks like it's stabilising. If it stabilises, that's amazing because it is actually a combi then. That would be mental if it did. Oh, no, there you go, it's dropped. It's at 42, so it's going to start dropping off now. The COP's been up to 4.1 for assisted hot water, which is amazing, and dropping down to, well, it's still 3.5. We've got a COP 3.5 combi, heat pump combi. I keep saying combi, in the vain hope that we've got unlimited hot water here, but let's see how it works out still. We're at 8 minutes. It's 8 minutes, 6 seconds of continuous shower. It's still at 40 degrees, and as opposed to a normal shower, such a rain head shower, so extra large shower head, as opposed to a normal shower head that you may use, which is amazing.
The Heat Pump Mini Storage Combi Thing is a compact hot water storage solution that fits in place of your combi boiler, in your kitchen base cupboard, in your eaves, under your stairs or shallow loft space, or anywhere else you have at least 650mm by 500mm available. What we've developed is much more compact than a standard cylinder, doesn't need an expansion vessel, can be heated with much lower flow temperatures than any other compact solutions on the market, meaning it's the most efficient. It can be reheated much quicker than a standard cylinder, doesn't require any pressure relief pipework or D2 pipework, is smaller, lighter and easier to move around, and doesn't need an anti-Legionella cycle. And it's cheaper to manufacture than a standard heat pump cylinder. Now there might be a slight efficiency penalty against the most efficient cylinder on the market, the Heat Geek Super Cylinder or Mixergy cylinder with the Heat Geek mode switched on in the app, but it will still be as efficient as most heat pump cylinders and around 4 times more efficient than a combination boiler. Also, if you use this with a gas boiler, you can have way higher efficiencies than a standard unvented cylinder, as it will fully condense in hot water mode and be ready for a heat pump when you want it. So you're probably wondering what's different about this cylinder now. It's really incredibly simple. A normal cylinder looks like this, a large cylinder which the hot water sits in until it's ready to be used. A coil heat exchanger inside it that the heat pump water travels through to heat up the store, an expansion vessel you have to locate somewhere to take up the expanding water as it heats, and a pressure relief valve with 22mm pipework you have to somehow route to the outside of the building. With the Heat Geek Mini Store, all I've done is shrink the cylinder down so it fits under the average height of a kitchen worktop, swap the coil heat exchanger and the store round so the domestic water travels through the coil and the heat pump heats up the main body.
Although this is a simple change, this has done two very important things. One, it means we can reload the cylinder much more rapidly at the full power capacity of the heat pump, but at lower temperature, rather than be restricted by the small coil heat exchanger traditionally in smaller cylinders, which either holds the heat pump power back or forces higher flow temperatures, meaning that you'd normally have to choose between heat up time or efficiency. By enabling more power at lower temperatures, we can much more rapidly recharge a cylinder and maintain the efficiency. Two, it means we're way under the limit of 16 litres store volume. This means we don't need to purchase or locate an expansion vessel anywhere. We don't need to run 22 or 28mm pressure relief pipe to an outside location. So unlike an unvented cylinder, can be fit anywhere in the property. We don't need a combination valve, and we don't need to run anti-Legionella cycles, saving even more on running costs. Now, let's see what it can do. I'm gonna get the shower. 13 minutes it's just got to, the shower's still running. It's not 40 now. I'd say it's 37, 38 degrees. Definitely still steaming and showerable though. This, funnily enough, isn't the first time I've had a shower on this channel. What are we doing then? That's like 14 minutes we're at now, and this is just a normal shower. When this gets to below a normal shower temperature, which I guess is in the next minute or two, maybe a bit longer, which I guess is in the next few minutes, we're going to see how long it takes for it to get up to temperature for the next person to have a shower. And I think that will be within the amount of time that someone would towel off anyway. We're at 17 minutes, but it's still showering temperature. It's not, it's at like 30 to like 36, 37, it's definitely showering temperature, but it's just maintaining now. Let's see what I can do. It looks like it's stabilised, so it can just continually now do this flow and return temperature. The output's now 3.5 kilowatts in, 11 kilowatts out reheat, and at a SCOP of 3.2. So it's just continuously heating up. I think this could just go on forever. I'm going to turn this off. 18 minutes, I'm turning this off. This is a massive success. I'm going to do some more tests though. Okay, we're now, I turned off the shower at 17:32. It's now 17:37, 5 minutes later, and the cylinder is now at 45, 46 degrees, which we already know is showering temperature. So you could be running hot water 3 minutes later at full temperature again, and you're all good. More testing to be done, but this basically works. Hi guys, it's the 7th of June, and before I got this video out, I thought I'd just give this baby one more go just to see and measure what exactly it will do before I send it out. So I set the store to 60 degrees Celsius. I measured the flow rate from the shower at, actually that big rain head is actually only 8.5 litres a minute, which actually I think is pretty normal. Well, 6 litres a minute is normal for a shower head, 8.5 is slightly higher. And put an actual thermometer on the shower head to measure 40 degrees. And I got a shower of 45 continual minutes at 40 degrees, which is insane. What's even more insane is, in less than 10 minutes after, my patient Mrs. Joe, who's waiting to have one of her molten hot baths that she likes, had a full molten hot bath in under 10 minutes after that 45-minute shower. And that bath was full to the brim. This thing is amazing. Oh, and it did that entire thing at a SCOP of 3.9. So for every 1 minute I'm now toweling off, recharging with 11 kilowatts means the next person will get at least another 1 minute shower. If you have a larger heat pump than my 7 kilowatt Valent, you would get even more. This is a cylinder optimized for space saving. And as you can see, this thing will run and run. But if we were not careful, it would be at the expense of efficiency. As always, if you want maximum performance or hot water output, this will have a lower efficiency, so each home will need the heat pump controls tailored for their specific case. So here's the settings to fine-tune the best balance between performance and efficiency for each individual home. Now, each of these settings have different names for different manufacturers. You'll have to consult your manufacturer's heat pump to find out the relevant setting. The first setting is the hot water offset. This is how much higher the heat pump's flow temperature is than your store temperature. So 0 degrees, which is the most efficient setting, will mean that your heat pump will target a flow temperature that matches your store temperature, and 20 degrees, which is more performance, will try and fire to a higher temperature, around 20 degrees above the store temperature, which will increase the amount of hot water available. And that would give you more hot water for the home, but be less efficient. I would suggest to set this to around 3 degrees. I actually had this set to 0 degrees, which meant my heat pump held back quite a lot before ramping up to 11 kilowatts. By increasing to 3 degrees, you'll get that input of energy much quicker and get even more performance out of this unit. The next setting is your cylinder reheat timer. This is essentially when you want your hot water to heat up, and we want to set this essentially to constant. Next is your store temperature setting. This ranges from 40 degrees for the most efficient operation of this unit, but with a limited hot water output, all the way up to 70 degrees stored hot water temperature, which will give you much more volume of hot water, ensuring you don't run out. In my test example here, I set my heat pump to 55 degrees store temperature. However, if you do turn this up to 70 degrees store temperature, you can store an extra 50% of energy. Please note though, it is a building regulation that if you store this water above 60 degrees, you must put a thermostatic mixing valve on your hot water outlet. Next is your hot water hysteresis. This setting changes how much your cylinder cools down before the heat source boosts into action to heat it back up. You want this right the way down at the minimum setting, which for my heat pump was 3 degrees. Next, you want to look for any settings that control your heat pump power output on hot water. My Valent essentially comes with 3 modes, but to simplify things, you want restricted power output, or eco, for higher efficiency and lower performance, and more normal operation or full output for more volume of hot water store. However, the Mini Store relies on high power at low temperature, so we really want this setting up at the maximum power output and rely on lower store temperature settings to gain efficiency and performance at the same time. Note that if the user is a regular bath user, you want to add at least 5 degrees store temperature. The next variable to be aware of here is your heat pump size. I used a 7 kilowatt Aerotherm Plus here. If you had a 12 kilowatt heat pump, however, you would have another 70% power output available. This means you could move all your settings more to the efficiency side of this table and keep a much lower store temperature. Now, to get the best balance between efficiency and performance, I've actually put all of these settings in order. If you're trying to increase power output, you should adjust the bottom lower settings first, for example, a larger heat pump, and work your way up the table. And if you're going for efficiency, work your way from the top of the table down. If you adjust your settings to the more performance side of this chart with a larger heat pump, this unit will supply a large house with multiple showers and multiple adult users in an incredibly small amount of space. No problem at all. So what is happening here that makes it different to a standard cylinder? Usually the heat is exchanged into the hot water when the heat pump is heating the cylinder. But in this scenario, the heat isn't actually exchanged into the hot water until the hot water is drawn from the tap instead. And because the coil heat exchanger isn't limited on its power output, like heat pumps are, we can get instantaneous hot water. In fact, the higher the hot water draw, the more powerful your heat exchanger is. For example, my heat pump was limited to around about 11 kilowatts power output at 7 degrees outside. This coil could effectively draw over 50 kilowatts instantaneously at any outdoor temperature. Also, the flow temperature is the store temperature, rather than the flow having to be slightly hotter than the temperature you're storing the hot water. This could mean you have a system as efficient as the most efficient cylinder on the market if your demand isn't too high. If you don't have a heat pump yet, this would also work extremely well with a boiler, because boilers generally have much higher power output, so you can store at very low temperatures and fully condense on hot water, giving you the highest hot water efficiency possible for multiple showers. They come in a range sized from 475 millimeters wide by 630 millimeters tall. The standard model being 475 by 830 tall, which fits snugly under a kitchen worktop. And the unit I had on test here is an 830 tall by 550 wide fat model, which will fit in any 600mm wide kitchen base unit. Having the hot and cold domestic water connections coming out of one side of the unit and heating connections at 90 degrees in the other enables the pipework to run up and down the naturally formed spaces in the corners of the cupboards, as you can see here. We've also added a ring stand to the top too, so you can flip the unit upside down if you prefer the connections on the other side. The innovative wall bracket means you can hang the unit on the wall vertically in place of your old combi boiler, or horizontally to locate it above your kitchen cupboards to reuse your old combi space as storage again. This solution saves more more space than a combi. The bracket also serves as a floor-standing horizontal cradle while maintaining much higher efficiencies than a standard horizontal cylinder, so you can go anywhere you have a 500mm square gap in your home. You may want to use flexible stainless steel connections for some locations. All units also have an optional 27mm immersion too. These can be used for either backup, or if you set this immersion to heat to say 38 degrees, will serve as a boost function if your store temperature drops due to your heat pump not keeping up with demand, say in the depths of winter, as the power output of these systems are going to drop during temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius outside due to defrosting if you have more performance-based settings. The only other pieces of advice that I give you to get the most out of the Mini Store is to install aerators to your hot water outlets. This gives you the feeling of the same flow rate, but using much less water, and it will mean the domestic hot water passes through the store much slower and picks up more heat, but also saves water and heat energy, and means you can adjust all of your settings to a much more efficient operation. If you want to check out this innovation in person, come down to the Installer Show 2024 at the NEC in Birmingham, 25th to the 27th of June. Heat Geek will be there in force with the coolest stand in the show. We have an incredible lineup of guests, including heating celebrities, government representatives, manufacturers, and loads more. It will be the place to connect with the heating community, with interviews, masterclasses, and exclusive product launches, and brand new training. Lastly, to do your bit to renew the heating industry, join in the conversation and share your ideas with our community. Find us on Facebook and Twitter, where myself and the other Heat Geeks are constantly in conversation. We'd love to hear from you guys, whether you're an experienced installer or a homeowner. Everyone is welcome. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.